everybody, this is Blake Hackworth with Recruitment Hockey coming at you with another video. Today we are going to just, I guess, I don't know what I called it in the past, but I know I label it in my playlist as Recruitment Hockey Info. So I'm going to rant, I guess, put it that way. I'm going to mute my TV here quick. So what we're going to talk about, and I got my computer here in front of me, is an email I got from my father. So my father loves hockey. He's always loved hockey. He's always been really supportive of everything I do in hockey. So he's always sending me stuff and just trying to keep me interested. And I just kind of want to go over what the article was and kind of my response to it, because I think that a lot of players can kind of benefit from what I was kind of talking about. And so what we're going to talk about here, the premise of the article, very well written, love to read it, read the whole thing, was training. And if you've been following my build-up for a while, you know that I coach everyone from learn to play first time on the ice all the way up to junior, college, pro, and so on and so forth. And so, obviously having a recruitment hockey with that, I deal with a lot of players on the actual scouting and recruiting side of things, and then, player development all over the place. So all these different facets jumping around, all these molecules essentially jumping around to complete, what would it be, one atom then? Or, I haven't been in chemistry for a couple of years, so I am getting off topic, but I know I look disgruntled. It's Sunday, 10:59. And I guess we'll kind of hop into it now. So the premise of the article was just talking, like I said, just about training players and what's good and what's bad and why they're good, why they're bad. And so I made a video in the past called the Instagram Hockey Player. And this is kind of like the Instagram coach, I guess, would be a good way to say it. So often you see a million things on the ice, like cones and sticks and things to push the puck under, things to push the puck over, all these different things that really have no in-game application. And so it comes down to being the Instagram coach. And what gets the most likes? What does Connor McDavid do? If he does this, then we should do that. But the problem with that is Connor McDavid is one of the best players in the world. I think we can all agree. And so he's at an extremely, the upper echelon of players. And trying to do those types of things with players that aren't ready for that, there's the disconnect there, obviously, as we can see. And so going into, what the first thing I got into in the email. So I was talking to my dad, and this is the email I sent to my dad. And we were talking, John and I, a guy I work with, great coach. He does an excellent job with our teams and the players that he works with. And so if he sees this great job, Coach John, he's awesome. So the Instagram Hockey Player that we were talking about, right? I've made a YouTube video on it. All that stuff on the ice is so unnecessary, and it really offers no in-game application. So I'm kind of paraphrasing what I'm saying, what I just said. Right, flipping pucks over things and under things. Yes, there's practical skills to that, but it's not to be used as a move. And this is something that John and I, Coach John, were talking about last week. We were coaching a drill. I was coaching a drill. I was like, man, these kids they're not doing the drill the way I want them to do it at first. Obviously, coaching, you fix it and you tell them why you fix it. But it's like, why are they starting with, I'll just use the same example, pulling the puck between their feet around, I like to use nets. That's the only real thing that I put on the ice. Every now and then, maybe I put down a cone. I don't even use cones. I use pucks for cones if I need them. Otherwise, if I do put something down, I usually put a net, because I like nets because they don't move. So if you run into it, you're gonna get hit like you would a regular defenseman, and that is what it is. And so I had him making a move around the net, like you got to dip wide to the side one way or the other, and so it's you can see how like the in-game application to that's a lot different than putting out, here's a napkin I have in front of me. All right, if I put this on the ice, I screw up, I can go right through it. All right, at least if I have a net here, it's a lot more like a defenseman. I guess if you take my remote that's right here, right, you're going to have to get one way or the other. All right, so kind of building off what I'm saying, the first 3 kids, it was between the legs, back and through, off to the side. All right, all I wanted them to do was to be deceptive one way, cut back the other way, shoot the puck. And it was, I probably worded it wrong, make a move. And I would assume that would be the move you would make. So John and I were talking about that. And so I was like, Coach, John, they're good. Why is that the first thing they do? And he's like, that is no in-game application. That's what we're talking about here. No in-game application. I can probably count on one hand. I can't even count on one hand. I've never done it. I've never pulled the puck between my legs in a game. Now, there are reasons to practice, putting the pucks between your legs, or, I call them pulling pops, pulling the puck up, popping it over something, and then back under. Something like that, right? The reason we practice that isn't as a move, right? I'm not going to go up to a defender, pull the puck up, flip it up, and catch it over. That's just the reason we practice it is for soft hands and control, right? And so there's this big disconnect where coaches are having kids do these types of things, and that's fine. But why are they doing it? What situation are players going to find themselves needing to flip the puck over a defender into a spot, right? So the reason I always say it, when we do pull and pops, I've done pull and pop drills on my YouTube channel, right? We do it to just kind of learn control over the puck, so that when I have to make a soft chip to a play, I'm able to make that play, right? So why are they doing this? And it's those things aren't moves. And, it goes back to the Instagram coach. Oh, wow, look what this kid can do. Look what I have my kids do. They can do these incredible things with the stick. And, that's all fine and dandy, but those aren't things that are making them better hockey players for the next level. I remember, quick story, I would have been a freshman in high school, and I was in a practice, and I was playing defense in the drill, right? It was everybody was playing forward and defense, didn't matter. You had to gap up. And a kid did that to me. Pulled the puck between his legs, kicked it up to his skate. I think he turned it over. And I'll never forget that I got lambasted for it because I let it happen. All right. I really do think I don't think he got a shot off. I really think that he mishandled the puck and turned it over. And my coach absolutely sewered me. All right. And I'm very grateful for that now. But he's like, why would you let someone do that to you? You got to step up and hit them. And so, when you practice pulling the puck, I'm using it as an example, pulling the puck between your legs, right? At one point, when you go like this, because you're going to have to, that small little turn of the shoulders is going to slow you down. Once your feet stop moving, bam, any good defenseman's really going to be able to do that. And so, you see it on the highlight reels and things, and yes, it happens here and there, but it's just not a practical skill to practice for in-game application. So that's kind of where my first paragraph in this email was about. In a lot of my skill videos, I also usually preface, whatever the word is, with, I hope I never find you in this situation on the ice, but this is why we practice it. And so I even wrote in my email, coaches are too dumb to tell kids why they're practicing this. Oh, I'm flipping the puck over a stick. I got to practice that. That's what's going to make me a better hockey player. It's not. Here's why we do a pull and pop, so that we soften your hands up and you have good control over the puck, so that when you need to feather a puck into small areas and me trying to stick handle, that you're able to do that, having the soft hands to move the puck. All right, so going into my second paragraph, parents and players fall in love with pedigrees. And so a lot of times, and I mean, not every team does this, so I shouldn't say a lot of times, but you will see teams where it says this coach played X amount of games in the NHL. Say I've seen 1,000 NHL games, and Coach John and I last week we saw that on a team's website. And we're like, I don't think that guy's played 1,000 NHL games. So, doing your research, falling in love with pedigrees. I love to use the Wayne Gretzky example. So Wayne Gretzky, obviously we know he's the greatest player in the world ever for the sport of hockey. I don't think anybody disagrees with that. And so Wayne Gretzky, as probably not a lot of people know, coached the Arizona Coyotes for what would have been I don't know, 2 or 3 years. Horrible NHL coach. I don't think they hardly won anything. Now, granted, there's a lot of different factors having a good NHL team, but you would think that the team would compete a little bit better with the greatest player ever. And so you can even take it a step further. He got fired as an executive in Edmonton last year, right? And so that's the greatest hockey player ever. Just because you're a great hockey player doesn't make you a great coach. And I can really relate to that. I wasn't this world beater hockey player. I mean, I paid my dues and I did what I had to do, and I'm fine with that. I have no regrets from my hockey career. I loved every second of it, and I thought I played further than I deserved to, just out of sheer hard work and giving coaches a reason not to play me. But with that being said, I can't, for one, but I would never say to a kid, well, I did this and I did that, so this is what worked for me, this is what's going to work for you, here's how I'm going to get you there, right? Every kid is different. And so parents hear, oh, this guy played in the East Coast Hockey League, all right? That's awesome. High-level hockey player, pro hockey player, got paid to play the game. With that being said, and this isn't to take away from any pro hockey players, they're incredible athletes, and I'm not making that abundantly clear that it's not easy to get to the levels that they do, but do feel like in some scenarios there are players that are incredible, let's say NCAA D3 hockey players that, once their college career is over, they're probably good enough to go and play a couple years, maybe in the Federal League or the Southern Professional League, maybe even the ECHL, right? But there is a difference between making, what is the minimum in the AHL? 50,000. I think the minimum's in 15,000 in the ECHL, and then I think the right around the max in the Southern Professional League is around $250 a week. So there is a difference between a guy that makes $1,000 a month playing hockey and the guy that just isn't worth it to play that, right? So I mean, there are probably a lot of really good coaches that have slipped through the cracks that could have played at these levels and just chose not to, right? It's not for everybody. And for some people, it is for them. And whatever way people decide to go, that's totally fine, right? But that's kind of where I go from the pedigree standpoint, is that just because you played or you coached at this level doesn't make you a world beater. There's a difference between coaching, the Grand Rapids Griffins in the AHL. Every single player that's already there is incredible, right? They're a step below the NHL. You don't have to worry about skill. I don't want to say don't worry about it, because there are certain aspects you have to improve on, but it's a lot more managing personalities and schematics and things like that compared to if you get a learn-to-play player, right? That coach that might be able to coach really well for guys that are extremely skilled, can catch passes, can skate like the wind, can shoot the puck a million miles an hour, compared to developing a player's simple skills, right? So that's kind of what I'm trying to bring together there in the middle. There's a large difference between, oh, well, I coach in the AHL, so I'm automatically a good, youth hockey coach, because it's just not. And just because I'm really good at coaching youth hockey doesn't make me an AHL coach. You know what I mean? So hopefully I kind of explained that the best I could, but that's kind of what I was talking about with my father. Is like, I've talked to kids that don't know what an overload power play is, and they're in high school, and so being coached, it's something that takes a lot of effort and a lot of practice, and it comes down to being a great teacher at the end of the day too. And so that's kind of something that was brought to my attention out of that article, which I thought was a really good point, and something that I told my dad. I am predominantly a youth hockey coach. Like I said, I coach up to the high school, junior age kind of level, and so when people ask me what level I coach kids from the first time they put on gear till about junior. Junior hockey players. I think we've had a couple. Just a handful of college kids, so not a whole lot. And granted, my client, building up my clientele too is part of that. So the reason I say that is I refuse personally to skip A and B before doing C and D. And some people hate that about me, and I don't. That is what it is. They might think I'm a jerk because I refuse to let kids skip skating before they can touch pucks. And so it's some people have to understand, if your stride isn't perfect, and I'm just using this as my own experience, right? If my stride isn't perfect and I'm not fast and I can't skate to the puck, who cares what I can do with the puck? Who cares if I can toe drag station, or who cares if I can shoot from a standing position? You'll never get to the puck simply because you're not a great skater. You have to be a skater before you can be a puck handler. You have to do A and B before going to C and D. And so that's what that article, a big portion of that article was about. Yeah, this kid can do this, he can do that, but he's slow, or he has no awareness, or things like that. And so I get a lot of times, when are we going to get pucks? When are we going to do this? When are we going to do that? And it's, uncomfortable conversations, but when they're ready, you know what I mean? Like, we can't just quit on the development of one skill because it's not there yet. Some skills come faster. So if it's the skill, some kids catch it right away, and some kids it takes longer. Just like for anything. For me, I'm a good math student, really bad at long division. Could not figure it out. I remember being in fourth grade, and one day it just clicked. After everybody, I was the furthest behind in my long division. Terrible at long division. And one day I just kept practicing, and all of a sudden I remember it. I practiced it every day, and I studied it, and it clicked out of nowhere for whatever reason. And so, can you imagine, bringing it back to hockey, if I was a good math student, average, whatever you want to call it, and then I fall behind, all right? So everybody keeps going to see if I can do a little. So I'm here, right? Here's me. Here are my classmates. Good student. We're moving forward. All right, I struggle with long division, so I stay here. My classmates pick up long division. All right, now let's just say, now we go into whatever the next step would be, algebra. All right, so they keep moving to algebra, and then I just back up with algebra. Forgot long division. How am I going to do algebra without long division? I know those two don't correlate, but that's kind of the same concept. All right, so I'm an average skater. Here are the skaters my age. Here I am. I'm with my team. All right, good skater, forward stride. All right, let's do some inside edges. Everybody else picks it up relatively quickly. I don't pick up my inside edge, whatever reason. All right, now they're going to toe drags. Now I'm at toe drags. All right, but I can't use my inside edge. That doesn't make sense. All right, so hopefully that kind of makes sense exactly. My very trusty visual that I used. So that's kind of where I was coming at, from just that standpoint of not skipping A and B before doing C and D, just because C and D get the Instagram likes, and they get on the House of Highlights, and they're on all the highlight reels. But this kid, he can do the Michigan, but he can't skate, to the red line without falling down. Whatever. All right, so there's the next part of the article was talking about kids not being kids, and so the academy business model is exploding, and that's totally awesome. And if there are parents and business owners that want to pay for it, that's their prerogative. That's their business. They can do what they want, and I can keep my opinions on it to myself. But there is also a point to going to school, and so many people are just comfortable with online school now. Go to online school. I don't know. I was a public school kid, so maybe it is easier to learn online and things like that, and maybe the social aspect isn't as bad. But there also has to be a point where a kid's a kid and just not a hockey player all the time, right? I know that we all want kids to play in the NHL. I want every single kid that I come in contact with to strive to play in the NHL, but I also understand that that's few and far between, and there's like a literal 0.001% chance of doing so. And so obviously there are other options, and getting a college degree and getting money off your tuition is a great opportunity for that, and whatever your case may be. Just understanding though that it's a road less traveled. So kind of going back to when we were talking, it's 50,000. I'm about 95% sure it's 50,000 in the AHL. ECHL is 15, and then I'm pretty positive it's like $250 in the Southern Professional League on average, right? So kind of going back to that is, sacrificing the school, the risk worth the reward? And so you see a lot now, kids, we're getting them 8 hours of ice a day, or they've got training facilities where they can go to the ice and use it all they want. And that's awesome, right? That's awesome to have that. But there's also that aspect of just being a kid and not a hockey player all the time, and it'll come. And so kind of what I talked about with my dad too was just, do you need to do that in order to be, a college hockey player? Do you have to do that in order to play in the East Coast Hockey League? Do you have to do those things just to play in those leagues? And maybe, it's a newer model, so maybe in 10, 15 years, but at this time, probably not. Those kids probably do have a better chance of it, of course, but it is it possible? I don't know. The jury's still out on it, so I can't have an actual opinion on it. Maybe I can look back on this video in 15 years from now and see if I was right or wrong. And so that's kind of where I was going with that one, the whole academy thing. And is it worth it, or do you want to do it? Is it beneficial for kids? I don't really have any answers on this. If you want to comment below what you think, I'd be happy to hear. I'm sure there's people that think it's awesome, and there's people that think it's a waste of time, waste of money. I'm in the middle. I have no clue. I don't know if is it awesome. I was like I said, I was a public school kid. I played in an association. There's 4 now. From where I grew up, there's 4 rinks within 10 minutes of my house. So I was able to go to the rink pretty much whenever I wanted. So it might be different now that I live in Tennessee, that the ice is a lot more limited. So maybe that the whole geographic features of things is something that does play a factor. Last part. All right, so you just kind of wrap it up. The Instagram hockey coach, the Instagram hockey player, what gets clicks, what creates clout? If you don't know what clout means, watch my last video, and I explain what clout means for the older audience. What creates clicks, what creates clout, what creates likes, right? How do we get our videos, our training videos, noticed? Okay, what do the pros do? This is what they do, so that's what we should do. All right, what Connor McDavid does isn't probably what a learn-to-play player should do, or a squirt, or a peewee. Maybe the elite of the elite can do it, but just kind of wrap it up. Like I said, it's how are those things in-game applications? Like how do they feed together? How do they go from I'm spinning around this tire and stick handling under this, and then I'm going up to this, I'm flipping the puck over it, to a game. You know what I mean? So I had to plug in the camera. So what I was saying, kids don't watch enough hockey, for starters. Watching hockey, watching your position, will make you a better hockey player. It will. I don't care what anybody else says. Watch hockey. Don't watch highlight clips. That doesn't make you a better hockey player. It just doesn't. Watch what they do in the D zone. Watch what they do in the neutral zone. Watch what they do in the O zone. Some of the best coaches I've seen, I'm always diving into coaching. I want to be a better coach every single day, and so I'm constantly on things like LinkedIn and Facebook, just talking to high-level coaches and seeing what works for them and what doesn't work for them, why it works, how it works, what's the problem, why am I having the problem, how do I fix the problem. It's the kind of way I think about things. And some of the best coaches I've seen, again, they're great pro coaches, and they're great at what they do, great at skill development, great from top to bottom. But there are also coaches that I've seen that have moved countless players on higher levels, that you kind of look at them on the ice and you're like, this guy's good. he's all right. He's not a hockey guy, like a hockey player. You know what I mean? And that's where I think the difference between an excellent coach and an average coach is. Of course, you want to have skills so you can demonstrate drills. That's very important. But some of the best coaches I've had, and Coach Elkin, if you're watching this, Coach Lindemann, no offense, not skilled coaches, right? I'm sorry if you guys do see this, just not skilled, and that's totally okay. But they were also some of my best coaches, and I've played and I've been coached, and I've talked to coaches that are pro and they get paid to coach. And so what made Coach Elkin, Coach Lindemann great for me, and all the other coaches that I had on, these are my high school coaches on the staff, is that they were great teachers. And so Coach Elkin, he is a teacher. He's the athletic director now at the high school that I played for. But what made him great was that he was a great teacher, and that he had a willingness to learn. And so, yeah, he couldn't book it down the ice and rip a slap shot 80 miles an hour, and that's okay, because he made up for it by being smart and outthinking and figuring out his niche. He developed a lot of us into really, really good hockey players because he accepted what he wasn't great at, but made up for it in other areas. And I think that's what made our teams really good back in my high school days, was because we were very skilled to a certain extent, but we weren't the most skilled teams. Those couple of teams we had weren't the most skilled in the state at all. But the reason we won a lot of games was simply because we were taught how to play the game the right way, how to forecheck, where to be, how to back check properly, how to enter the zone properly. Even with minimal skill and being shown minimal skill, we were able to do those things just based off of sheer teaching. He was able to teach us the game. Him and Coach Lindemann, I should say, were able to just teach the game and talk to us and articulate what they wanted us to do. And they were just smart. They still are. I mean, it's not like they're done coaching, but just smart in being able to draw things and show what they wanted and say what they wanted. Even though they couldn't show what they wanted on the ice, they are able to do that for us. And so that's kind of where it all meshes back together. So of course, there are coaches that are unbelievably skilled. You can go back to Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky, unbelievably skilled, best player to ever play. Not a great teacher, I would assume, right? I don't know, maybe he is. But just based on his record in the NHL coaching, let's say he's just not as skilled at teaching, all right? But then you get coaches like Coach Elkin, Coach Lindemann, excellent teachers, minimal skill. Okay, no offense, all right? I think a really, really unbelievable created in a lab coach is skilled enough, right? You don't need to be, an NHL player, or even, an East Coast hockey player, but being able to show at least drills and to a certain extent what you can do, but also being able to articulate exactly what you want, why you want it, how you want it, what's the problem, why you having the problem, how do you fix the problem. All right, so being able to mesh that all together. And so that was kind of the last point, and just kind of tying the entire email I sent to my dad. I think that watching hockey and coaches that can coach young players are very, very good, just because having the patience and the proper skill development to, indoctrinate the children to play the game the right way. If they never learn to play the game the wrong way, they won't play the game the wrong way when they reach those high school levels, those high school ages, for example. Right? So if you're able to start and skill develop at that point and you don't skip steps, you're going to create a really good hockey player. All right, so with all that being said, there's going to be a whole mess of opinions that people have on it, and that's okay. It's not that everything I say is right and everything that I say is wrong, but those are just kind of my opinions on everything. And I think that it's more important for parents to hear those types of things, just because it is, what I've I've at least come to see and kind of come to learn, and even talking to like all these other coaches too, I think it's a pretty common feeling across the board. And so, where are we failing the players? Are they where's the disconnect? I guess where from putting on gear for the first time to playing their first pro game? Where is the disconnect as to why not every player is really good at these certain things? You know what I mean? And so I think that just kind of comes back to skipping steps and what looks good on the internet, and how do I create likes for my business or likes for my videos. And I don't get me wrong, I follow a ton of skill development teams, and they do an awesome job. A lot of them do, but making sure that your drills have in-game application, which I've said a million times in this video, so that when a player does it in practice, why are they doing it in practice, and how are they going to do it in a game? With that being said, this has been another half-hour-long video rant of mine. My name is Blake Hackbarth. If you've watched this entire thing, I am extremely grateful. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe so I can get some more opinions on this video. I would be really helpful to kind of see where everybody else kind of stands. So that's where we're at. Hopefully you enjoyed your Sunday, and we have a good rest of our good start to our week, I guess. Thank you for watching. I'm tuning out.